Well, stock market weekly recap in a week that, frankly, I didn't want to talk about. No doubt about that one. Very rough week for us. I think there's no denying it. Um, you can look at this chart, obviously, see what happened here, but overall down 10.3% on the Dow this week. You see a little bit of bounce back Friday, Friday actually, there was a bit of a bounce back. So a 9.6 or 9.3% bounce back. So really, we were down 20% prior to this, just this week alone. Very good bounce back in one of the best days the market has had in terms of percentage gains, and one of the best day in terms of point gains we've ever had. So definitely a crazy week. I mean, there's no other way to describe it besides literally crazy. So we got a lot to cover today, but we're going to obviously go over the indices. I'll give up a little portfolio update, and then we're going to go ahead and get into a couple news things, and I'll let you know my opinions. So now we get into the S&P 500, which overall on the 5-day chart, you see pretty similar story here, down 8.79%. Brings this bad boy to down 16% year to date. You don't like to see it, that's for sure. From the NASDAQ, do we expect anything better? Well, a little bit, down 8.17%. On the year, down 12.23% now. Similar 5-day chart, as you can tell. And I wanted to spotlight one other pretty crazy detail here. Would be Bitcoin. Bitcoin on the month, you see here, is down a solid nearly 50% in the past month. Bitcoin's dropped. Definitely crazy. In the past week alone, Bitcoin's dropped 33% of that. So very, very crazy stuff for Bitcoin. I'm certainly not someone who is invested in crypto because, really, crypto does not really have a long-standing, there's no valuation truly behind it, but there is, I think, a case for it. I think there's a very good case for it, just due to the fact that potentially, and I don't think there's going to be anything wrong with the banking systems or anything, but if we, shut down a lot of stuff going on here because of this virus, well, people will be probably using Bitcoin for more. Maybe it'll have more value in the end. I don't know. I don't necessarily believe in the value that it holds, but you know what? Somehow someone's valuing it at $5,000 per Bitcoin, so hey, to each their own. If you're a crypto investor, good luck to you. Now for a portfolio update. I don't like to talk about this, okay? I had a worse week than all of the indices. Last week I had a better week, but this week it's just not good. Down 12.5% this week. Really rough. I mean, we're talking about in the past month down 23%. You hate to see it. Now, if we look at the all-time, this is what scared me. So, at one point on Thursday, I was actually down all time. There was a point in which I was down all time, down 4%, ending Thursday. So, it was pretty freaking rough, if you ask me, because this is 2.5 years worth of gains that I had just wiped out. Completely just got wiped out. In a matter of a week. I got that wiped out. Really, it was more of a month, but regardless. It's stuff you hate to see. All things considered, I'm not selling anything. I mean, see, at this point, I was up 34%, and since then, I'm up 2% now. So, I don't plan on selling anything. I plan on adding. I am adding to my positions. I think there is potential for this thing to get worse in terms of what it could do to stocks, for sure. Overall, it's been a super rapid movement, so I think potentially it could slow down in terms of how much things are moving. But again, just crazy stuff going on. But I plan on adding onto my position, potentially picking up some Disney, Facebook, and Microsoft. I did make a recent addition to my portfolio. If you notice, would be Cloudera. I bought 14 shares of Cloudera at $7.99 per share. Obviously down 7% already because I bought it at rough time. No doubt about it. I bought it before Thursday, and then Thursday completely wrecked my life. So that's all things considered. So what do we have to talk about news-wise? Um, you see the Dow posting the worst loss since 1987. Um, and you see Kathy Entwistle here said the coronavirus is scary and people don't know what to expect. She's the senior vice president of wealth management at UBS. It's like the tsunami is coming. We all know it's going to hit any day, and nobody knows what the outcome is going to be. And then, meanwhile, this man, Mohammed El Arian, says we are going into a global recession. I mean, I get it. I think we're shutting down a lot in terms of what we're doing government-wise. I mean, we're shutting down a lot of production, manufacturing, for a minimum 30 days. I mean, you think the economy is going to take a massive hit because of this? We've had a $50 billion stimulus package pretty well brought in to help some of these companies make it through any sort of shutdowns, help pay for employees. One big thing I think that really needs to go into effect as far as what Congress can do is pass the payroll tax exemption. This will make it so companies won't have to pay payroll tax for the time being while we're giving their people paid leaves. Right now there's a lot of companies that really just can't afford to give people paid leaves because if they're not making money because they're closed down, they can't afford to give paid leaves. So I think the company, or really the government, should pass a mandatory paid leave up to 2 weeks. I think that would be fair for everyone. And I do believe that it's a little absurd, I know. But that, as well as potentially, I think the payroll bill needs to get into effect just for the time being. So cut payroll tax completely for the time being. I think it'll be good for companies. It'll be good for our companies for sure in making it through this. Now, I will say I do believe that the fears are certainly overblown as far as this is concerned. I think the overreaction is at ridiculous levels. This is mass hysteria levels, no doubt about it. And I don't want to insult anyone for freaking out about it. I think there's certainly reason to fear, but I just think it's overblown completely, and I think the media is making things worse on people. People are freaking out over something that we don't truly know what it can fully do. So I think obviously it's wreaking havoc on some places, but overall it sucks just because it's new. I think as far as what we're talking about, mortality rates, stuff like that, I think there's a big issue with these numbers because there's not a lot of test kits out there. So we don't really know how many confirmed cases there are. I think in a vast majority of cases, a lot of the symptoms are not severe. The cases we know about are the cases that are severe. So I think that's really where you find issues with people freaking out more because they think, this is going to kill off 2% of the population if everyone gets infected. I don't think that's the case at all because I think there are a lot of cases out there that just really aren't severe. And I could be completely wrong. That's just my opinion on the matter. But I think that death rate will fall somewhere towards flu levels, really, once we find out the fact that really a lot of these cases are going unreported at the moment because people aren't really, going to the doctor over stuff that's not as severe. But we'll see how things turn out. But other news-wise, we have, in terms of shutting stuff down, obviously the NBA, the XFL, every major sport shut down. We have Disneyland even shut down, which is crazy. Fourth time in history that a full suspension of operations has happened. The last time was after the 9/11 attacks. Crazy stuff. Disney World not closed quite yet, but Disneyland has closed. We also have President Donald Trump saying that he plans to buy large quantities of crude oil right to the top. He wants to fill us up right to the top, is what he says, for a strategic petroleum reserve, which makes sense because crude oil has been down quite a bit actually for us. So I think it's good to buy large quantities of this just in case we need it. I think it's just more of a reassurance thing for the country. I think it's a very good idea to buy and stock up on crude oil just in case we need it. So Oil's been getting hammered lately, no doubt. We have cruise lines completely suspended for 30 days. So again, more hurt to these cruise stocks. Carnival Cruise Line still up 17% on the day, but this is because they plan on giving support to these companies. The government will be giving support to these airliners and these cruise companies, so one thing to consider. We also had the president himself getting tested for the coronavirus because, well, he comes in contact with a lot of individuals, but he came in contact with someone that was confirmed to have this virus, and obviously, all things considered, I think he's plenty fine here. Regardless, will they actually give a confirmation if he was sick with it? I mean, are they going to say he was, or if he got it? I doubt it, but still, he tested negative, supposedly, so good for that. Obviously, we don't want President of the United States here to be catching any sort of virus, anything like that. We want the best for him because, frankly, no matter who the president is, you should wish them the best because it's your life that's, in matter here, so the president matters. Come on, guys. We have Walmart cutting store hours from 24-hour stores will be open from 6 a.m. to 11 p.m., which is very crazy, but again, that makes a lot of sense. They need time to stock products and clean and sanitize stores. No shocker, because the fact that people are blowing out these stores is insane. People are shopping these stores so freaking heavy right now. It doesn't shock me at all that we're doing this. Just some crazy stuff going on. And we have, that's right, U.S. is officially cutting flights to the U.K. and Ireland. That adds to the really, large list at this point. So, again, maybe at some point they'll be cutting flights everywhere. Airline tickets are super, super cheap right now. But again, you might be getting it canceled on you, but just saying, if you really wanted to. So, that's really all I got for you today for this recap. I hope you enjoyed.